Hey, welcome to a quick demo. I want to show you something new I've been messing with. Okay, it has nothing to do with encaustic. Well, yet. It certainly could, and I have done encaustic on paper before, but that has nothing to do with today. Today, I want to play with something that has been really giving me all kinds of fun stuff in the last few months, and that is Daniel Smith watercolor sticks. They are phenomenal. I must confess, I first began with them about a year ago, using them in my encaustic. I know, doesn't sound right, but it was fun. I used it on the foundation, so I did watercolor paintings on the encaustic board and then brought my encaustic to the surface thereafter. But that's not what I'm here to show you. What I'm here to show you is the play I've been doing on watercolor paper. My first love was paper. And my first love was the fluidity of watercolors and golden fluid acrylics. So I'm kind of allowing myself to come back to that, if you will, in this past year since being home from 2 years abroad and so much encaustic. I'm allowing myself to come back to the play, and that's what this is about. None of the stuff I'm going to show you is mind-boggling. It's nothing new. It isn't even really experimental. It's only a heck of a lot of fun. And if I can do it, an encaustic artist who, with which watercolor does not play well, then by gum, anybody can do it. If nothing else for me in playing this way, it has opened up my eyes and my creativity to new ways of doing things all the way around. And I think that's important all the time when you're working with creative juices and art. It's always important to keep exploring and keep investigating and keep yourself open and inspired to whatever comes along. And that's where the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks come into play. I haven't been aware of them for all that long, and I honestly can't say I know when they came to exist. But they are a great and wonderful invention, and I'm happy to get to play with them. They are going to be part of the Encaustic Kits subscription program in I can't remember what quarter. It's a quarterly subscription program. You can find it on my site at pbsartist.com under the Encaustic Kits tab. We've been having a lot of fun, began in January, and like I said, the watercolor sticks are coming into that, and you'll get to see how I play with the watercolor sticks and my encaustic. But for now, I want to show you what I do on paper. I'm Patricia Baldwin Segerbrook, and we are in Lexington, Kentucky at my encaustic castle doing some watercolor. So first, how I begin is somewhat in the most traditional way that watercolors are used, and that is in their fluid state. I've taken quinacridone violet, the watercolor stick, and smushed it into a small pool of water, creating a wash of watercolor in my handy dandy yogurt container. This is a lovely byproduct of running an Airbnb and serving people breakfast. I have lots of yogurt containers to mix paint in. And I came by this process, okay, like I said, it exists everywhere. This is nothing new. But I started back into it because I love the watercolor wash. I like to see how pools of watercolor move and dry. I like to make shapes with them and sort of, the watermarks and what you make watermarks into. Clouds, the cloud stories. Well, I do watercolor wash stories. So this to me becomes, wow, that could be okay, it doesn't look like anything yet, but okay, it could be a hippo. It could be, you get the idea. I like to create imaginary shapes out of my watercolor washes and then let them dry and turn them into something else. But more to point, even, just with these watercolor sticks, I continue to play. I don't stop with just a watercolor wash because they offer the opportunity to do so many different things. I come in with the stick itself, and this one is still quite soft because I rubbed it into that water and it became much softer and more malleable. So it's got a thicker, stubbier rub on it draw a line, mark making. This one has not seen water. It's in its most solid stick form, so it's going to act a little bit more like a crayon. Forgive me for reducing it, but like a crayon. So you can see the line variation. It's a little more solid. I also want to rub a bit of it into the puddle of Quin Violet so that I've got a little bit of color variation going on. It's going to blend in with that puddled wash. And then from here, I'm just going to set this aside and let it dry. But this is just the start of the story I've been messing with, because if you know anything about me at all, this is not where I stop, because what I'm about is how well things play together. So like I said, the watercolor obviously wouldn't receive wax necessarily at this point, but it does play really well with the Derwents. I've been using Derwent Inktense, Derwent XLs, my pencils, my charcoal, and bringing all those in to continue work over this amorphic shape that I create with the watercolor wash and the watercolor sticks. And that's where I move on to show you. Ta-da! Fast forward as if it's dried. Not. I started this yesterday, so you can see, if I turn it around, it's somewhat similar to what we just created in that first wash. I brought in those same colors. I had a wash going on. I then used the wet Quin Magenta stick to draw, as well as the yellow. But from here, this is where I like to start working with the charcoals. So it's all about mark making right now. Again, just showing you the experimentation that can happen if you let yourself explore what the possibilities are. And the beautiful thing about the watercolor sticks are that the possibilities are enormous. They go beyond just what a traditional watercolor would, because they have that drawing capability. And they have because of the drawing capability, and of course to turn it back into a wash, it's beautiful to use with other materials. It has friends in the art world that it plays nicely with. I'm going to stop here because I'm going to guess you get the idea. But what I've used here is the charcoal. It's the graphite. I haven't brought Inktense in, the pencils or the sticks, but those work beautifully as well to make marks, to bring in, I can bring a wet brush into those Inktense and these charcoals and create different washes going over the Daniel Smith watercolor stick washes. It's just a gorgeous interplay of color washes, of mark making, of drawing, that offers you opportunities not necessarily available in traditional watercolors. And I encourage you, as an encaustic artist working in watercolor, going out of my quote-unquote box and playing with other materials, I encourage you to do the same thing, no matter what your traditional or your comfort zone is in art. I encourage you to give Daniel Smith watercolor sticks a try, because you never know what it will lend to that in-the-box medium that you use. Have fun. And visit me at pbsartist.com and on Instagram, pbsartist, where you'll see a lot of these. I post what I do regularly.